Good morning. We are here at the United Way office of Cascade County, and we are speaking with Taylor Ullman and Marla Hauser about their Graduate to Elevate program, and they're going to kind of explain some of their new initiatives and where they're taking this great program here in our community. I'm going to turn it over to Janet Duffy to kind of explain and ask some of the details.
Thanks for being here and sharing what it is that you're doing. We had the opportunity to talk to Lacey before, and wow, it's really exciting that you're in the trenches doing this work. So Taylor, do you want to start first? Maybe explain to us what you're doing with
Absolutely.
pre-K?
Yes,
Yeah.
pre-K stuff, early childhood. So I was hired by United Way back in June, so I haven't been here very long, but
Welcome.
Thank you. It's very exciting to be here. So my focus is early childhood success, and so we're really working with families and people in the childcare industry and educators in the school district to make an impact for our kids before they hit the public school. So I'm focusing in kind of 5 major areas. One of them is data with the school district, some inclusion work, a culture piece, and a connection piece. And yeah.
Yeah. So the culture piece, is that ethnicity? Is that
It's specifically with our Little Shell tribe.
Awesome.
So trying to build a relationship there and get them access to resources here in our community, and we have some hopes of translating some of our educational tools that we use when we're out doing work in the field, translate it into some native languages, so that way if they're not speaking English in the home or Little English in the home, that they can still utilize those tools.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then how about the connection piece? I'm just really
Questions are good. The connection piece. So lots of conversations even before it started. One thing that's really come to fruition is that families who have children under the age of 5 really don't have a clearinghouse for resources and even things to do with their kids in the community. And so we are going to start here in a couple of weeks a committee for child events group. And so what that will be is everyone will come together, and if they have events that impact kids between the ages of 0 and 5, we'll create kind of a master calendar, and then it will be like a co-promoting thing. So if a family is at an event, they'll get information about the events coming up.
That's so cool.
What about the data? I have a sister-in-law that's an English teacher, so I was wondering, what kind of data are the schools interested in from collecting from you?
We're looking at some social emotional data. I think it's become very apparent, especially since COVID, that academics of course matter, but social emotional is really telling, right? It's hard to learn and be productive and proficient in school if you're struggling social emotionally wise. And so they are going to implement a new assessment tool, and then some of the childcare centers in town are using that as well. And so we're going to, hopefully over time, the goal is to create like a big picture with various data points relating to social emotional learning.
Wonderful.
Do you want to share a little bit? Because that's your thing, right?
The social emotional part, yeah. So I am in my 2nd year with this position. I've worked for the school district for several years, but this is my 2nd year as youth leadership and success community coordinator is in my long
titles.
kind of ambiguous title. So my primary job, I'm working with our mental health therapists. So our district has 8 mental health therapists that are hired by the district, and they kind of split between the schools. But what they realized pretty recently, well, not recently, it's nothing new, but kids are going to kids instead of adults. Like they're talking to each other, they're kind of learning more about themselves and their peers than we know about them. They're struggling with things that we didn't struggle with when we were their age. So we have these mentor groups that are led by the therapists at Great Falls High, CMR, North and East. We're at Paris, it looks a little different there. But these kids are being trained on kind of like youth mental health first aid, how to recognize when their peers are struggling, when they're struggling, and then we're giving them the tools to kind of cope with that, or the resources of where they need to go with that information. So that's a big piece of what I'm doing. And then, as Lacey said, youth voice is a big focus. And so for me, with our wonderful partnership with United Way, Alliance for Youth, we have all these funds that we can kind of give those kids
Great.
money for projects. So if they want to do something, we've done 988 promotion, which is the suicide and crisis number. We've had the kids are designing stickers and banners, and they're in their homecoming parades and doing mental health weeks at their schools, and they're just really pushing out the message that it's okay to talk about problems. We all have them. How is a healthy way to deal with them?
It's okay to not be okay.
Yep.
That's so exciting. So I know that you've been with the school district, right? And now this is a hybrid position, so things are continuing to evolve. Can you tell us about some success stories, maybe?
Yeah.
I
feel like every
It's always exciting to have the success.
And just doing this is a success, but it always helps us to be inspired.
Yeah, one of the things we've had, like one of our early projects on was at CMR, our girls were like, we need to do, it would be nice to have hygiene products in the bathrooms. Like no one carries a quarter. These are always empty. So they had a big hygiene drive at their school. We had a lot of community donations, and then we had a girl that wanted to put hangers, so they're like little shoe hangers, and they put them in every single bathroom. And like the first day, a girl walked in while the girls were hanging them up, and she's like, oh my gosh, this was like amazing. Just hearing the kids like have positive feedback from it, or teachers saying like, when my girl came into class and she was like crying because she was so happy that this was in there. So it's really cool that they're just like looking out for each other. We've had students who have broken up fights at school or de-escalated situations that could have been
really not
right. Yeah, so we've had a lot of really cool like stories with our kids, and kids saying like, we have our East Middle School kids have shirts that say, I'm a safe person to talk to on the back. And a kid came up to him and asked, like, I'm struggling with something, who do I need to talk to? And so they led him to the therapist at their school. So just a lot of stuff like that seems small, but it's huge.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's more than huge, actually.
Yeah.
How about you? I know that you've only been in the position since June, but are you seeing some movement maybe with parents groups or?
One thing that we have found some success in is our workforce development conversations. So we know that education in general, but including early childhood, like the state of Montana is issuing licenses to be an early educator at a record rate, and people are staying in the field for less than 6 months. And so we have really decided to partner with several early childhood centers here in Great Falls and have some conversations about culture and retention and attracting employees, what challenges they're facing. And so we got some really good information out of that. Some of it was to be expected for sure, but some of it is good food for thought. And now we're switching and having those same conversations with employees to see, okay, are employees and employers kind of feeling the same way about things, or is there a disconnect, and is that where we should be focusing?
Sure, and that bridge, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're so excited that you're doing this and involved. Do you need help?
Yeah,
I know
what
that's
kind of
kind of a
support
wide
can the
open-
community give you?
Advocacy, for sure. Advocate for early childhood work. It's super, super important. It should be viewed as public education is. It's just as essential. Reach out to your legislators, support childcare funding, education funding. It matters, and it really does make a difference.
That's awesome.
Anything for you?
Anything?
Well, we're always taking the hygiene donations. That's one of the things that we had. Family Promise came in. Family Promise came in and talked to the kids about kind of the homeless situation with youth, and it was actually shocking for a lot of our students. They had no idea. And so one of the things we talked about was doing either a coat drive or socks or gloves or hats or something like that. So any kind of donations, if you see that they're promoting something like that soon, we'd love anything. And then same with the hygiene products, like they're always stuck in those bathrooms. And
so if somebody has a donation to make, who would they get in touch with, or how would they make that donation?
they could either take it directly to the school, or they could contact Lacey and she'd make sure it gets to where it needs to go.
Okay, awesome. We'll be sure to put graphics up with your contact information as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think so.
No, I'm excited about what the kids are doing. It's fun to see, and they're getting out there.
Keep it up.
Wonderful.
Thank
Keep it
you.
up. Great
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah.
Please support the United Way, advancing education, health, and income.